Welcome back to Valheim. This is my 26th episode, and I think it's actually going to be my last for a little while. For complicated reasons. If you watched the last episode, you certainly saw me get pretty frustrated with the game. I should eat some food, by the way. And actually, one thing I'm going to try is I'm going to see if I've already got flashing bacon in my stomach. Can I eat some sausages to replace it? I can! That is a thing I didn't know. I thought you had to use buke berries to clear anything from your stomach, but no, it looks like you could, as long as the food is flashing, you can clear it. Thank you, Exion, for giving me that advice right before the episode started. Anyway, so I got pretty frustrated with the game because, I lost my body in a really inconvenient place, could not get it back. And, that's fine. That happens in games like this. It's okay. But I realized when I thought about, oh, man, I'm going to have to build back all of that capacity that I lost. In the past, you've seen me go through really weird, frustrating experiences in this game and then bounce right back. I would go home. Basically, I would just sort of play the game for hours on my own time, and then come back having recovered everything. And I actually had a great time doing that. Like, I was having a really awesome time with the game. But this is, this game has been filling my sort of habitual game slot for a really long time. And I have sort of a pattern of, getting really obsessed with the game, doing almost nothing with my spare time besides play that game. But eventually I hit a saturation point with a game like that. And if I try to keep playing it after that point, I start to have less and less fun. And I realized at that moment when I was considering, I should spend a bunch of time building up my capacity again after losing that character, maybe going and, trying to get more iron, that sort of thing. I realized that I was actually crossing that barrier with Valheim, where I still love it. Like, I haven't, sort of changed my mind about really liking the game. It just reached a saturation point with me, and I think I need to take a break from it. But since my last episode was so, frustrating, I thought it would be a good idea to do one more episode that isn't about me trying to get my body back from an impossible location, and instead do one that's about me just going and trying to get some iron, doing something simple that I hopefully can accomplish. I mean, this game is unpredictable. Who knows? I could still get myself frustratingly killed today. There's basically two ways this could go. Either I get myself frustratingly killed and rage quit the game for a while, or we have a nice, relaxing, satisfying experience, leave it on a positive note, but either way, I think I'm going to take a break. But, thinking about sort of, there's a spawner over there. That's making me nervous. Let's pull this guy out, but maybe not get into too much trouble here, if I can avoid it. So yeah, you can see my mace isn't as powerful as it used to be. I was one-shotting these low-level Draugr before with my old mace, but now I'm going to need to collect a whole bunch of bronze to level this mace up. But one thing, sort of that experience, basically the fact that I was so resistant. The fact that I was so resistant to the idea of earning back all of this capacity, I think actually kind of illustrates something interesting about Valheim. And that's sort of its ramp, I guess. Like, basically how the sort of challenge of the game, but also there's two different factors when you talk about the ramp of a game, like how it sort of escalates over time. There's actually two factors in there. There's a difficulty ramp where the game just gets harder to play, requires more skill to play over time. And then there's the investment ramp, how much time it takes for you to make, each additional... Oh, right, I forgot to bring the key. I'm an idiot. Okay, let's go. We'll go back and get the key. Anyway, how much time it takes you to earn each sort of increment of progress. And RPGs, for instance, have a very common pattern where the first 1 or 2 or 3 levels that you get are incredibly easy to get. You get them really early on to sort of help you make some early decisions about your character build, sort of determine the direction you want to go, and also give you sort of a rewarding sense of progress. Just making you feel good about playing the game. But then as time goes on, they slow that down, and it takes more experience to get the next level and the level after that. That's pretty common, but there's a few different ways you can approach it that really sort of that make a big difference to the overall experience that the player has with your game. Like MMOs, for instance. MMOs are designed so that you're going to play the game basically infinitely. the whole business model relies on players getting into the game and never quitting the game. And so not only does that rely on having there be some kind of end game experience that's basically almost kind of separate from the progression ramp that you can do endlessly without ever, without needing to have new content constantly placed in front of you. They also, one of the strategies they use to sort of get you in there is they will have a really strong exponential investment curve where, your first few levels are really easy to get. But by the time you're getting up to level 60 or level 100 or wherever the cap is, it takes you weeks to get a single level. And that's intentional. They're basically sort of like incrementally getting you closer and closer. Or getting you, like they start out giving you lots and lots of rewards, but then as you show commitment to the game and show that you're really involved and you're committed to the game, they stretch out the distance basically between rewards. And by the way, I completely forgot where I put the key. I think it's probably actually back in my original base. Oh no, there it is. Cool. All right, bring in the key. They slow it way down because like once they've got you playing the game, you're probably playing the game for reasons other than progression, and so they can afford to slow the progression down, keep you hooked on it, but it implies a longer time commitment, which means you stay in the game longer. That's a part of their business model. That's kind of what you have to do in an MMO. But there's a lot of other RPGs where they ramp up sort of the cost of doing things, the implicitly how much time, how much experience it takes you to earn a level, for instance. But at the same time, they'll say, but the monsters you fight at that level also give you more experience. And, you can imagine they can actually keep those two in lockstep. So actually you're leveling up at about the same rate, like a flat rate throughout the game. And just the main thing they have to worry about is you have to fight things at your level in order to keep progressing. So that's a different way to use it. One is, the first one, the MMO model, is much more about deliberately stretching out the time commitment for each level of progression so that you play the game for longer. But then there's the method where they're really using that exponential ramp not to stretch out the time that you play the game, but rather to push you to engage at the proper difficulty level, not to just farm a bunch of little rats or something like that to level up all the time, but because you need more experience at the higher level, you just have to go and engage at the higher difficulty level. You have to stay at your level rather than just sort of cheesing it with easy stuff. And so, looking at Valheim, it doesn't have like your typical RPG progression ramp. The progression ramp in Valheim is much more about your access to resources. What equipment you've built for yourself, what facilities you can build for yourself at your base, that sort of thing. And so the place where they ramp it up in it's not about experience, for killing different monsters or things like that. It's about access to resources. So we're going to open that, head down in here. So Fresh Menthos says the bronze stage is the most grindy one since it requires more resources than other tech stages, and it can lead to burnout. It's a good time for a small break. Yeah, so that's kind of... So I'm in the bronze stage now, trying to get out into the iron stage. Oh, crap. Oh, there's two of you. That's not cool. And there's another thing that's bad. Okay, hold on. One thing I didn't bring with me is potions, and that was a bad plan. So we've killed one Draugr. That's great. I'm hoping this poison calms down before I take too much damage from it. But I'm going to go home and get some potions. But anyway, yeah, Fresh Menthos highlights the important point I was making, which is its access to resources. That is the ramp for Valheim. And so early on, everything requires trees and rocks. That's like everything is made, with some exceptions, everything's made out of trees and rocks, which means, and trees and rocks are everywhere. You can get them anywhere you want to. They're renewable. They grow back. There's just a lot of reasons why trees and rocks are just really easy to get. And so you just feel like the only question is just like, you just spend a little bit of time in the game and you've got all the tools you could ever want. But then as you move on to bronze, then you need to get copper and tin, which are available in certain places. But they're still pretty plentiful in those places, and there isn't automatically, danger involved. there is usually, like, you will make noise and you probably will encounter random monsters while you're out there mining, but it's not like an intrinsic part of the process. So there's less danger. It's pretty plentiful. It's, you know, in the Black Forest, it's pretty easy to find access to copper and tin. And then when you get into iron, you have to find these very specific crypts, which, you know, there's entire swamps without any of them. And there's monsters in those crypts that are defending them. And it's much harder to get each increment of iron. And the game demands more iron from you per thing you want to build than it demands bronze. And so, like, so I'm feeling this ramp sort of escalating over time. And part of the problem is they've deliberately put some barriers in the way of me ramping up to match it. So basically, basically the decision that they needed to make on this team was, you know, are we going to have a you know, the kind of game where there's an exponential ramp, and basically the player has to spend more and more and more and more time in the game in order to get each increment of progress? Or are we going to have a game with a flat curve where, you know, or sort of a flat escalation where as the player, you know, encounters greater challenges, or basically as the player, you know, encounters greater friction in their progression, they also gain the ability to overcome that friction that is commensurate with the friction, so that, like, so they move up sort of at an even pace. And what I'm discovering is there's one feature in this game that actually transforms it from, because, you know, like I've noticed, I mean, you know, early on when I first went into the Black Forest, I was absolutely terrified of the dwarves. The dwarves were so scary I could barely deal with them. But now dwarves are just a nuisance. I don't give a crap about dwarves. Even dwarven brutes, I just don't care about, because they're just not scary anymore. Because you know, the risk, I was able to mitigate it with my new technology. But there's one area where they don't let you do that, and that is transporting metal. When it comes to transporting metal, they give you the ability to portal, but you can't portal with bulk metal, which means you have to build a local infrastructure to turn the metal into things, or you need to sail, both of which are very time consuming. And so they basically, as they're ramping down the availability of the resources you need and making you take longer and longer and longer to collect those resources, they're not giving you a commensurate ability to transport those resources. Like, because if I could use portals to transport bronze and tin and copper and iron and whatever, if I could do that, then this wouldn't be that bad. I would just need to go, you know, I would sail once to go find a new scavenging ground. I could just build a very small base with a portal there, and then whatever I find, I can just easily bring back to my central base, process it into whatever I want to process it into, and you know, and I can basically ramp up the speed of my operation with the ramping down availability of the resources. And I could keep my sense of progression really smooth. But they decided to basically put obstacles in the way, to not let you bring metal through portals, which means I either need to build my infrastructure locally. Oh, that's not the crypt. Either build my infrastructure locally or do a lot of sailing, both of which take a lot of time and involve a lot of risk. And so I've really started to feel the slowing in my progression because of that. And so, like, if I could transport metal through a portal, then I feel like, you know, my ramp would stay flat, and I could keep, you know, I could have collected a lot more iron by now, you know, and I could be in a much better position, you know, to sort of advance my capabilities to meet the monsters that I'm fighting. Crap, freaking. Okay. Okay, running. Nope, running. Getting out of here. All right. Oh, I died of poison. But I did it outside. It's fine. I can run out there naked. I can get it. It'll be fine. That was ridiculous. Okay. Anyway, just that step was messing me up. Like, if I was just facing these guys, just face to face, I would be fine. But like, that step was intimidating. I was like, wait, how am I even going to be able to hit anyone? What's going on with this step? And so I was thrown by the step. If I could just kill these initial guys, I'll be fine, I think, in the rest of that dungeon. So here, let's eat some of this and some of this and some of that. So get the same food in my body that I had before. We'll run out there. We'll collect my stuff. It'll be fine. Yeah, so Exion says they intend for you to use the Carve, the ship I can currently build, to bring metal back until you can build a long ship, then use the long ship to transport the metal back to base. Yeah, so that makes sense. Also, it's still annoying. I mean, you'll face, sea serpents, you'll face unfavorable winds, you'll face a lot of stuff that is just way different from a portal. And so, yeah, so I totally get that that's what they intend, but that is still a severe ramp down in my ability to transport this stuff. So, but one of the reasons why I've got hope is because folks in my chat have told me that there's a plan for them to... It's nighttime. I should probably not be running around in nighttime. I should sleep until the day. That there is a plan for an update that gives you more fine-grained difficulty controls. And one thing that somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me that one of the options is going to be to let you carry metal through portals. And I think and the thing is, like, the decision to make you transport things, like on boats and stuff like that, I think a lot of what people are thinking of is, this game is partly a progression game, but it's partly just a vibes game that you play with your friends. And the idea of like going on constant, like, these sailing journeys with your friends to take stuff home actually sounds kind of fun if you're playing with your friends. But I'm playing it primarily as a single player game. So for me, the progression and the rate at which I can achieve my own ambitions is a major determining factor when it comes to how much fun I have playing the game. And so for me as a single player, that the idea that I need to sort of like load things onto a boat and cart them home actually just feels like a real drag on the experience. Whereas if I was doing it with friends, I think that it might just be kind of a fun thing to do together. So anyway, but that's why but like all players are different, right? And so, there are some players for which these restrictions just feel normal and it's fine. But for me in particular, the pattern of play that I have, I actually much prefer the idea of a version of this game with a flatter progression where I can just use portals to bring everything everywhere that I want to bring it. And I can keep that progression like really rapid so that I can keep getting that sort of positive feedback that I get for playing the game. And I keep getting new opportunities to do things like, build new kinds of forts and stuff like that, which right now is going really, really slowly for me. And sort of, frustrating my sort of creative urge to go and just build bigger and fancier things. Oh, hey, a slime. Get out of here, blob. Just keep getting further away from me, please. There we go. So anyway, yeah, so when that update drops, and I can turn off the thing where portals prohibit metal, that might be when I want to come back to the game. That might be when like the game sort of gets into a zone where, come on, where it fits the the progression rate that I think is going to make me a lot happier with it. I just destroyed the light. That was fun. So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm just thinking that basically, I had that really and another thing, the frustrating death, the fact that I had to keep going back to try to get my corpse and I just kept failing and failing and failing. That was the other thing that sort of was a drag on my experience. And I've also heard that update might include the option to reduce the death penalties. And so if I have a version of Valheim with reduced death penalties, I hope there aren't death penalties, reduced death penalties, and the ability to transport metal, that might be more fun for me as a player with my particular pattern. And again, I'm not saying that that's like the way the game should be or something, like they did it wrong by having it work this way. That's not what I'm trying to imply. Like, they made the game that they made, and I appreciate it. I think that there's a lot of players for whom this is the ideal way for it to work. And that players are, getting other, benefits from it working this way. Okay, it looks like this is a dead end. And so I'm not advocating the entire game needs to change, but because I'm probably an unusual player, I've got my own sort of style of playing this game that's not like everybody else's style. I think that means that I kind of need a slightly different version of this game. And so when that version of the game is available, I think that might be the perfect time for me to pick it up again. Okay, so I destroyed that body pile. Ooh, I got a withered bone. And some amber. Radithcord wants to know, will these be world settings? Where basically I would need to start a new world in order to get them? That's a good question. I'm not sure. In my mind, I'm assuming they don't have to be. Just because those just seem like rules, right? There seems like rules you could turn on and off at will, theoretically. They could decide to make them world settings, but because things like enemies spawning, or where enemies spawn, or where objects spawn in the world, stuff like that. If you want to tune that, that does seem like something that would have to be built into the world. Like you couldn't just, what is this? Oh, scrap iron. That's what it looks like. I forgot what it looked like. Oh, I got iron head arrows too. That's kind of cool. But you can't like in State of Decay, like the loot spawn, for instance. That's something you can't just sort of change the whole thing midstream. We kind of have to, repopulate the world with it. Because there's some ways in which it could be like nonsensical if you changed it midstream. We theoretically could, but it could make weird things happen, and so we kind of don't want to. And so there's certain things that they would have to make world specific. I hope that something like that, like where it's just like it's an overall difficulty setting. I hope they don't just decide arbitrarily to make it world specific, so I have to start over. That might be annoying, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I end up spending 6 months away from this game and then I come back to it, maybe I'll want to start from scratch just because I've forgotten everything that I did. And if there are fewer costs to doing that, and I'm more confident because I've played the game before, maybe that'll be the way to go. Maybe that'll be fine. I don't know. So is there anybody scary in here, or am I safe? So for those who might not know these places, as I'm hacking through this, not only am I getting access to a new room, I'm also, there's stuff in that muddy pile that is going into my inventory. So, like, I got some scrap iron out of it, for instance. I now have 20 scrap iron, which I think is enough to replace my my lost iron Atgear. So, whoa, what is that? What was that noise? I heard a bleh. Ooh, poison arrows. Neat. I'm starting to run out of space for different things. Hopefully I find a lot more of the same things going forward. Yay, more of the same things. Oh, it's kind of funny how... Oh, I'm carrying too much now. Great. What do I not need? What do I not care about? Nothing. Nothing. I want to keep all of this. Whoa, okay. So, I'm going to stick this wood in here. I'll come back for it later, but let's take a trip home. Did I open this already? Yes. So get out my proper weapons. Head out this door. Exion says I don't need the withered bones, but I want them. What are the withered bones for? I got the impression they were for, like, I don't know, there was something you can build or something with them, but I don't know what it would be. Ooh. Turnip seeds. It's weird liking turnips in this game. Just because in real life, turnips are exactly the kind of thing I never, ever want to eat. Oh. That is an abomination, which I am just not screwing with right now. Not messing with this guy at all. He can just go die, as far as I'm concerned. I am wondering if maybe, I tend to go with sort of glass cannon builds, and so the first thing I wanted to make with iron when I first got it was an Atgear, was an iron Atgear. But I'm wondering if it might make more sense for me to actually start getting iron armor first. I'm curious if folks who played this game have got advice about, whether or not I should Oh, yay, necktails. Looks like something killed a bunch of necks here, and now it's to my advantage. Oh, it was a leech. Do I have room for leech stuff? I don't, so I'm not going to worry about it. So Jawafawa is suggesting actually what I want, because I'm fighting, because of who I'm fighting where. What I actually want is an iron mace and an iron pickaxe. Oh, okay, yeah, so, yeah, I guess not only, I mean, like, the stuff I have that's still bronze that needs to be upgraded, I guess the iron pickaxe could let me get all kinds of things faster, because hacking through the muddy stuff, I don't feel like it's going particularly slowly. Like, I'm not feeling a problem from that. I'm curious what these things cost. So an iron mace, that would be 20 plus wood plus leather. Oh, so Exion says they actually don't usually build the metal armors at all. They actually go for like stuff like the troll armor, because they're so dodgy in the way that they play. That's interesting. Okay, so it looks like we got a couple of oats for Fresh Mythos says that the bones are needed for boss summoning. That's what they're for. Okay, got it. So let's see here. Does that mean I would have put them under trophies? That's probably where they belong. I don't know if it's where I put them, but it's where I'm putting them now. And I'm going to put the key away so I don't lose it in there. Oh yeah, there's my turnip seeds. Stick those turnip seeds over there. Raw foods includes yellow shrooms. What else do we have? Got this and that and that. And we got riches. Oh, actually, fletching. Let's put some of our fancy arrows away. And, oh, I just realized I wasn't carrying any arrows. I was carrying a bow, but no arrows, which is dumb. And also, I guess I deliberately left my axe out of my hotbar, because I wanted other things. But I might as well just put it in my inventory there. And then, what did I have left? Riches, that's right. So let's drop our riches off. And now I've got that. So let's make that mace. Because I mean, certainly for the rest of this episode, the mace is what I'm going to want to use. Oh, I don't have any regular leather? Really? Okay, I guess I saw some leather out there. Here, I'll just drop this stuff off in the mead container, because why not? There's definitely some leather out here in the field. So I'm going to go grab some of that. So Exion says that also, like, metal parry shields are really valuable if you get parrying down. So, yeah, so I would definitely not say I have parrying down. It is my primary strategy against the main enemies I'm facing, though. The Draugr and the Skellies. I am primarily fighting them by parrying them. And so that might be worthwhile. Okay, that's 2 leather. I need 3 to get that mace. Is there more pig? So pigs spawn here. Oh, there we go. They spawn here fairly often, but there's such a narrow area for them to spawn in. I don't end up getting an actual lot of them. But I'll just let these other guys fight each other, and I'm going to head back. Exion says if you get your bow skill high enough, you can basically Legolas the entire game. Jawafama says, did you find Haldor yet? Is that the merchant guy? Is that who that is? Because no, I haven't found anyone named Haldor. Okay, oh, got another bow guy. Haha, take that, you butt. Okay, that guy hasn't seen me yet, so let's just head inside. So yeah, no, I haven't found him yet. Though I did use, what is it, Valheim world.map or something like that, or Valheim map.world, or I forgot what it was called. The website, I wrote it down. Valheim-map.world. I used that to look around my map and find where an actual good place to go for iron was. And so I could probably find Halder with that. And so, maybe sometime, what I'm expecting is sometime, without doing it on the stream, I'll probably just start playing Valheim again on my own and try to figure out if I'm ready to continue with it on the stream. And while I'm doing that, I'll probably poke around, try to find more, find the places I actually want to be. And and then maybe I'll get started once I've found Halder, once I've found other useful things. Okay, so can I not make the mace yet? I thought I had enough. 20. Oh, right. I've got scrap iron. I don't have proper iron. I'm an idiot. Okay. Well, I'm going to need to process this iron. So I'll drop off. I don't know why I just dropped the thing I was trying to go process, but whatever. Let me drop off all of the other stuff first. Drop this off, and that off, and that off. And then let's smelt this iron, and we can use it later. In the meantime, we'll go get more. So Jawafawa says that's actually one of his major complaints about the game is the fact that Halder is so difficult to find. And that actually there's nothing about the normal progression of the game that shows you where he is. Does this need... Oh, I already filled it with coal. Great. And so it's impossible. It's possible to basically meaningfully play the entire game and never meet Halder. Which, yeah, that does sound like a problem. Because, for instance, as I understand, the main thing I'm aware that he does is that he lets you unlock fishing, which sounds like it could be really valuable to your food situation. But without him, if I just happen never to find him, then I think, and it feels like it wouldn't be that hard to set things up. Like, for instance, we've got these things that point you towards the bosses, right? We've got these standing stones you can find with inscriptions on, with like rune stones that you can find that tell you this is where a boss is. It feels like they could have done something like that for Halder. Halder has left a message, you can find me here, or something like that. Put him on your map and then give you a direction to go. And, if they put him in dangerous places and stuff, it could still be a challenge to get to him. It's I don't know, a difficulty challenge versus a random drop challenge it's a really different thing. And, having there be something that is hard to do because you just have to keep trying again and again, and there's a chance you just might never find it. That's just really different from something being difficult in a satisfying way, where you can learn a skill or some kind of knowledge that overcomes the limitation. Coalition says that the way my character was walking when I was overloaded, the fact that that when you're overloaded, you walk around with your head down, and you're hunched over and you're sweating, you're dripping with water. He says that it makes it look like I'm crying, and I absolutely agree, and I think it's great. No notes. Okay, so let's get ancient bark back and continue. Here's another muddy scrap pile. Remember, I was hearing monsters and noises. Yep, there's crap in here. Oh, heck, there's a guy right there. Come here. Hey, come back. In the crotch. Right where you deserve to be shot. You monster. Okay. So that was that guy, but there's another guy walking around. Can't reach him, though. He's got a bow. Yep, he can't hit me either. But I'm going to want to be ready with a shield. Okay. There you go. What? It's weird, learning the timing on that. Getting to the point where you can actually hit your shield at the right moment when he gives no indication of when he's going to fire. You just learn about how long it takes him to fire, and you just do it. Alright, so here's a chest. It's got some stuff. Oh, my food's about to run out. Let's fix that problem. And what do we have here? We've got a blocked exit. We've got some shrooms. We've got... Okay, I'm hearing noises, but I'm not seeing any access to another area. So there must be another area like behind this wall or something that I get to in a roundabout way. But I can at least clear this out. Yeah, so Churaboy says, fishing seems like something that I would like, especially after rough sessions. Yeah, so the sheer amount of time that I put into Dredge, I did 10 episodes, and that was like not even half of the time I spent in that game. That seems like an indicator that, yes, I might really enjoy fishing. Now, did I get any... Yeah, I got a couple of scrap iron out of that. Not a ton. But there was one more door to go through in the entryway. It was this way. Okay, looks like we've got some free stuff in here. Ooh, some chain. Oh, a ton! A ton of iron. An insane amount of iron. Okay, yeah. Let's split this stack. Put some of it back in the chest. Actually, maybe I should just turn around again here. Like, I'll grab as much other stuff from this room as I can. Then let's carry as much iron back as possible, and then come back here for hopefully just one more round. So how much iron can I actually carry? Let's grab 6 more. Yep, that was it. 6 more. Okay, so back home we go. Oh, by the way, welcome to the chat, Churro Boy. I don't think I've heard from you before, and it's nice to meet you. Okay, it's nighttime anyway, so yeah, it's a good time to head home. Or actually, this is a good time to stay in the crypt and come home in the morning, but whatever. We're where we are. Hopefully I don't run into any, like, purple drugger or something. Oh, so Churboy says that he's watched my YouTube videos, but he's come here to Twitch for the first time. Well, it's really cool to have you. I always kind of wonder about that, like, you know, how many, because my YouTube videos definitely get more views than my Twitch streams, because, you know, Twitch streams are just way less convenient to get to, right? Like, you have to be there at the right time. And I stream at a weird time, too. I stream, like, on my lunch breaks, right? Which means most people are busy eating at work, unless they're in a totally different time zone, you know, at which point, you know, they could be doing anything with their lives. But I do stream at an odd time, at least for, you know, somebody living in the United States. And so it's not always convenient for people to get here. And so I'm always a little bit curious about, like, you know, yeah, I don't know, like who it is that watches my YouTube streams, you know, my YouTube videos, amongst the people who, amongst the people who don't comment. And also, like, how they found me. Like, you know, people who... Like, I'll mention the fact, you know, when I'm on the official State of Decay stream, I'll mention the fact that I've got my own Twitch channel, and I imagine people might find me that way. But I am curious how people who find me primarily on YouTube, how they find me. Like, does YouTube recommend a video of mine to them because they've got a shared interest with me? Or, you know, or are they tracking me down because they've seen me involved with State of Decay 2 stuff? Or what? It does make me curious. Just because I've got no way to know most of the time how people are finding me. There are analytics, you know, that you can get. Oh, I should probably check on this. I should put more metal into here. But yeah, I'm always curious how people find me. So let's drop the ore that we didn't use in there, and then let's grab some of this, put it in here. But yeah, one thing that I really do like a lot about Valheim is how much of the game is just sort of chill time. Like, once you have found a safe way to get a resource, you can just go and mine that resource for a while, you know, and you don't necessarily have to be actively trying to make important progress. There's a lot of ways you can just be, you know, messing around and not have to think that much, which is one of the reasons why I got so obsessed with this game, is because there's a slot for that in my life. You know, there's like, because there's a lot of like, you know, TV shows I want to watch, YouTube videos I want to watch, that sort of thing, that don't require a lot of mental engagement, but they do require a lot of time. And I always feel like I'm kind of wasting my time a little bit when I'm doing something like that. Like, oh man, there's probably a better way I could be spending my time, but I really want to watch this. So having, you know, a game like this that I can play, where I feel good about, you know, what I feel like I'm accomplishing something, I'm learning something from the game. There's like good things I'm getting out of this time while I'm also doing something else. It's really nice. So yeah, so that is one thing I like about the game. So let's see here. So Churro Boy says the reason he watches my YouTube channel is because of all the weird indie stuff that I put out. That's actually kind of always secretly my hope. Like, because there are a lot of people who follow me purely because they're hoping I'll let slip something about State of Decay 3, for instance, which is, you know, something I actively try not to do. And it's, you know, there's a lot of other topics that are more interesting to me than the thing at work I'm not allowed to talk about. And so hearing somebody who's actually less interested in the games that I work on and more interested in the games that I highlight, like the games that I'm interested in, I actually really like that when somebody watches me for those reasons. Because I mean, there's other, you know, venues that I go to, like Rock Paper Shotgun, for instance, is a really great source of information for about like indie PC games and stuff like that. And so I love venues like that highlight weird stuff I wouldn't have discovered otherwise. And so I kind of do like sort of imagine my channel as being a place where I can do that for somebody else, where I, you know, weird indie stuff that I've found can be brought, you know, into the foreground for somebody else, and I can find it for somebody else. That feels really good to me. I really like that. And so the fact that you're sort of highlighting that's why you're here, that really makes me happy. That makes me feel like I don't know, like my goals are successful. So thank you for telling me that, Churro. Okay, so we'll get another bunch of slag going over here. And we'll deliver the metal back to the house after we drop this stuff back off. And then we'll go and get, hopefully this will be our last trip. I mean, I'm saying hopefully like I want there to be less iron there. And I guess I don't want there to be less iron there. Ooh, I've got 20 now. I don't want there to be less iron there. I just, you know, I want to move on. There's a place that I found with valheimworld.map that is actually, it's really plentiful with the crypts. Like, it's got lots of crypts. And so that place, no matter what happens here, that place is going to be better. So this, okay, does 55 damage versus 47. So it is an increase. Its durability is lower. I'm going to have to repair it more often. Let me stick this old mace in my tool chest. And we'll stick the wood in the wood pile. And then we'll go out there again in the rain. Because it doesn't matter. There's a crypt. I'm going to be sheltered. Let's see. I'm just trying to. Okay, so yeah, Exion is recommending the iron buckler as well. Once I have enough iron for it, I could very well go that route. If that's going to protect me better from the particular enemies that I've been fighting and how I've been fighting them. That makes a lot of sense. I think I might need metal armor more than you do. Just because I do, regardless of my intentions, I do end up getting hit more, probably, than you do. Okay, you. Oh, come on. I see you. I think maybe I need the ad gear to hit this guy. There you go. Wait, is that a swimming dwarf? It is. Okay, whatever. Okay, off we go. Maybe this will be our last trip. So far, I've been recording for 45 minutes, so I'm hoping this is... I want to finish this job. I want to leave this entire area scoured of the stuff I need from it, so that I can just start fresh somewhere else the next time I come back. All right, here we go. Sunken Crypts. So Zedric says that he watches my channel mostly for game analysis from a dev's perspective, which that makes sense. That is something else I also try to provide. Is just like, I try to give people insight into not just what's going on in a game, but why it's likely to be going on that way. Is that okay? That is a muddy scrap pile. Because that's because it's easy, like I think, for a game critic to say this part of the game isn't fun, this part of the game is fun, this part of the game is amazing. But it's the rare game critic that actually has much more insight than that into like why it's that way. Like the part of the game that isn't working, why did they do it that way? What were the trade-offs of doing it a different way? What's likely for it to, like how is it likely to? I don't know. Like, what would be the cost of doing it another way, or what might they do to fix it? That sort of thing. Sorry, I'm having trouble being coherent, partly because I'm on muscle relaxers right now for a weird thing happening in my face, and also because I'm distracted by this Draugr, having trouble speaking coherently. People who are watching the episode live, I warned them that this is a problem. Because I'm on drugs, I'm going to be having trouble being coherent. But anyway, that is a thing that I like to do. I like to say, oh, this part of the game isn't working great, but here's probably what happened. And if you're into that, I'm glad that I can provide that. That also makes me really happy. Like those are probably the two things I'm most excited about being able to do on my channel. Number one, highlight indie games. Oh, this is just a deposit. It's not actually a barrier. Highlight indie games for people and give a developer's perspective. So Exion says that they watch because I seem a decent sort and my vids are usually fun. Okay, you know what? That's a good. I like all of your reasons, everyone. You're making me feel really good, and I appreciate it. Thank you. I keep thinking, oh yes, you found the reason that I like. Oh no, you found another reason I like. You know what? I just like all of your reasons. I'm glad you're here. I mean, Exion, you've been especially useful in helping me understand how to excel at this game and how to, enjoy this game better. There's a lot of ways in which I don't excel at this game, but that's not your fault. You've definitely made me better at this than I would have done otherwise. What is this noise? I don't think that gave me any access to anything. So I think there was just one more direction for me to go. Ranithcord says that he's here because I locked him in my basement. That is definitely an impression that you could easily give with how frequently you're here. But I think that's great. I mean, especially Coalition and Ranithcord, my mods. This channel really would be a lot less doable without them, and I really appreciate all of the time and effort they put into being here and getting involved with all of you. So I'm hearing all of these noises. I feel like I've explored in every direction that was available to me. Is it normal for me to still hear noises like there are monsters in here? Or do those noises mean that I have not found everything that I need to find? Because, just to double check, I came in here first. This was a dead end. This was also a dead end, just a deeper dead end. Okay, so Exion says yes, all dungeons have ambient monster noises. Okay, in that case, I'm going to call this dungeon done. We're going to get home, we're going to pack up our stuff, and just shy of an hour, we will have completed... Ooh, what's that glow? Oh, it's just a torch, okay. We will have completed a major act in our experience with Valheim. Now, there's no guarantee I'll necessarily come back to the game. After a break, I'm really tempted to go over there. let's drop off our stuff first. There's no guarantee I will definitely come back because, I mean, there's just so many games out there that are great. And, I can never really predict which ones are going to fully capture my imagination. Like, I'm trying to remember, like, so Dingus Chief recommended that I play Valheim. And I was probably never going to, I had tried it once. I was probably never going to come back to it, but he recommended it. I played it a little bit longer, and folks like, him and Exion, like, really showed me what was fun about this game, and it ended up being a game that I got totally obsessed with. And Zomboid was similar. I think was Coalition, was it you that encouraged me to play Zomboid? I don't remember now. But Coalition or someone encouraged me to play Zomboid. And, okay, I'll answer that in a second, Exion. And, again, that was another game I had tried once. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, but I didn't get super deep into it. But because I sort of committed to it to satisfy, someone having spent channel points to get me to play it, I got in and I found out that, oh, this is a game that I love and that I can get absolutely obsessed with. So the thing is, I can't really predict what games that's going to be true for. And so it could be that for the next 6 months, I don't find another game that fits that slot for me, in which case, I could easily come back to Valheim, come back to Zomboid, come back to one of these other ones that, that I really, really love. Or I could find a game that obsesses me more than any of them. Maybe I'll just be like, this will become a Starfield channel or something for the entire, last third of the year or something like that. You never know, right? I'm not saying that one in particular is likely to do it, but just whatever. There's some other game that's going to totally grab me. And so we'll have to see. Though Exion did just suggest that they might... Here, let me just drop this real quick so that I can pick this up. That they might actually spend channel points to get me to come back a little bit later. To do things like, for instance, fighting the Bone Mass. So yeah, I'm definitely not fighting the Bone Mass until I have got a lot more iron. I'm just like, I'm not a good enough player at this to be able to, excel without fully leveling myself up. So asking me to come back and fight the Bone Mass is basically asking me to come back and play this game for a while to earn up to go after the Bone Mass, which I might, I'm totally willing to do later on. Like I said, like I'm not leaving this game because I've decided I hate it now or something. Like, I still love this game. This game is still really cool. I just need a break from it. Like, just the obsession it's claimed a lot of time for me, time that that's one of the things I've been thinking about, is the fact that, I spend so much time playing Valheim between sessions that there's other games I'm not playing. Like somebody, I forgot who it was now, somebody has been pushing me really hard to play, like, Alien's Dark Descent, for instance. And one of the reasons I didn't play it when they first started recommending it was because I was just obsessively playing Valheim with all of my spare time. And that's a problem, right? Like, I actually need to play a variety of games. One of the reasons I created this channel was so that I would play a variety of games and learn a lot from them. And so, I'm defeating the purpose if I just only get obsessed with with particular games and just play them endlessly to the exclusion of everything else. So, but yes, I'm happy to come back to this game later on, especially, basically, once whatever update drops, it lets me customize the difficulty and remove some of those barriers that are making the game tougher for me to enjoy, tougher for my sort of, like, the amount of time that I have to spend on it. That's another thing. Like, if I could play this game more efficiently with my time, where like, everything I'm doing doesn't cost tons and tons and tons of time, this is a much friendlier game for me. This becomes a game that I'm able to play, much more confidently, because I can make a lot of progress in it without having to devote my entire life to it, which is basically kind of where it's been for me so far. And so, yeah, once we get to that point, I'm happy to come back and try to explore a little bit more of the game, make some changes to the difficulty and get in there and, or not the difficulty, changes to the world, to the settings. Because I don't say it's, because it's not difficulty I'm trying to move. I'm not trying to make it easier to win the fights. The fights, I want to stay just as hard. I just want the cost of failure to be different. I don't want to have to then, like, oh, I had one failure, now it's hours of recovery. Like, that just feels like that's too much for me. Like, just, I don't have time to play a game like that. But I do have time to play a game where I can just keep smacking my face against it until I win. Like that feels, without just a massive penalty for each failure. So that's the kind of game I think I need out of Valheim. And then one that lets me just build a lot of bases. Because I've made progress, I've unlocked new things, and now it's time to build something else. Like, that's the kind of cadence I think I need from a game like this. So that's what I'll be looking for in the future. Malator says someone on Reddit said this game is either about playing obsessively or being burned out. There is nothing in between. Yeah, Nexion says, I wouldn't ask you to play for a while. I don't want you to get burned out. Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, and Artalvo says, yes, I can't wait till I can make it allow me to take medals through portals. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So, by the way, Artalvos, I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were in the chat. I still am planning on playing Generation Zero per your request. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I wanted to play it with my coworkers first. And that's vote-based. Like, we vote on what game we're going to play next. And so far, we were just playing Valheim, and then we played World War Z. And so I think Generation Zero might be the next one on people's sort of list as far as, like, what they're interested in. And so I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the next couple of weeks I did play Generation Zero with my coworkers, learn some stuff about it, and then could play it here, with whatever I gained from that. So, yeah, Artelvo says no worries. So, Goody, I know you're not being impatient about it, but I get impatient with myself when it feels like I'm taking a long time satisfying somebody's reward they've unlocked. Okay. So, yeah, so let's wrap up this video, and hopefully I will come back to Valheim sometime later in the future. That is my intention. And when that happens, I'll go back and I'll put a link to it here. So if you're watching this much later in the future, maybe that'll be available. In the meantime, I don't know, go click something else.